And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another edition of Voices from the Grid. I am the Green Ranger, Michael, being joined by the Blue Ranger, Mr. Brian Massey.
I see. Hey, sorry, I've always wanted to do that on the show. How's it going, everybody?
Yep. So it's so weird because we record this stuff out of order. I've been the White Ranger for a while now, recording wise, and now I'm having to go back in time to be the Green Ranger.
Well, you know the Green Ranger does come back.
Shut up, Meg. But anyways, on this episode, because this is actually the second episode of Voices from the Grid for season 2, and we've already recorded like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've already recorded 12 episodes of the season already. Now we're recording episode 2.
Yeah, but, Tommy's already wielding Saba. All right, like let's just
behind the fourth. We're breaking the fourth wall. You all know that Tommy has Saba at this point, but where we are, Tommy is still the Green Ranger officially, because we're doing the episodes The Wannabe Ranger, Putty on the Brain, and Bloom of Doom. So why don't we just get right into it with The Wannabe Ranger and everyone's favorite segment in my mind, the quick run through of The Wannabe Ranger. And we begin as we see the Rangers playing some basketball. Zach scares Kim while in costume, and Zordon contacts Rangers and they come to the command center. Zordon needs to de-energize or de-ionize to help balance the power of the morphing grid. Zed turns Zach's costume into a monster, and Alpha sees a lost child and heads to help him. Bulk and Skull see Alpha and gets scared. Alpha then finds the boy Dylan, and they play soccer. The monster turns into Billy, and damn, that's some attitude, but Alpha notices something that is not right and exposes the monster. Alpha sets his self-destruct to protect the command center location. The monster goes to the juice bar and turns into Zach. He goes to Kim and Trini and claims Tommy is in trouble. Kim and Trini go to the park and find nothing. Then a putty battle ensues, which is the first unmorphed fight of the season, and I believe of Power Rangers in general, outside of like the very beginning of the show. The girls get back to the juice bar and see the other 4. They find out all 4 were at Billy's lab the entire time. Zordon returns and shows the Rangers Alpha's current state. He briefs them on the monster, and the Rangers morph into action. But there's 2 Yellow Rangers. Jason challenges both of them to fight him. The monster exposes himself and gets blasted. The Rangers now engage in battle with the monster. The monster turns into the Black Ranger to attack the others, but is foiled. We get a Red Ranger battle, and the Rangers retreat to plan a new battle tactic. They battle Premator once again. Zed makes the monster grow. Rangers call for the Zords, and it's a quick victory for the Rangers. The Rangers get to Alpha in time to save him from self-destructing, and potentially also killing Dylan, because Dylan was still there with him the entire time. So anyways, with that was The Wannabe Ranger, which is actually one of the episodes I have on VHS.
Oh wow!
Yes, I'm old.
I have a couple of the VHSs that you had to buy it through Scholastic from the first season, so I'm older probably. Wait, am I?
No, I'm older than you. I'm 34. Oh, yeah. Probably by the time this episode airs, I'll probably be 35 because we've been taking forever to record season 2. But no, I'll probably still be 34 because this episode won't be airing in like October.
I mean, I turned 34 in July, and I've been wanting to go Kaio for a while. So if anybody's listening, I got an Amazon wish list, just so you know.
Yeah, this episode won't be airing in July either. We'll probably have this airing earlier, hopefully. So hopefully by the time this starts airing, we'll be working on season 3.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't wait to get to the Ninja Megazord. But anyways, so The Wannabe Ranger originally aired September 14th, 1994. So let's go ahead and get into my notes. I kind of like to expand upon your brief run through. And then also I'd like to add in notes as well. So I will be kind of talking about the episode in full, but also I'm going to be kind of highlighting some stuff. So for starters, Mike, our episode starts with the Rangers playing basketball. Zach shows up in a monkey suit to scare Kimberly. So the backstory on that is Zach performed for his cousin's birthday party earlier and decided to wear the suit over. Here's my question. He decided to wear that over in California in the summertime. How are you not dead?
Maybe he carried it with him and then he put it on before he got to them directly.
I hope so, because you and I have been in that California sun in the summertime, man, and like I can't imagine wearing a monkey suit.
But the thing is, though, is that, and that, as we learned, it's a dry heat over there. It's not a moist heat like we have over here in Maryland.
That's fair. I'm just saying, like, I waited 2 hours in line to get into Morphicon in 2016, and I had like the worst sunburn I've had in years.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, is that, like, again, but it's a dry heat, so I didn't really notice the heat as much over there as like I do here, because we have like heavy humidity where we live here.
Yeah.
So we noticed that, like, if we were in that monkey suit, like the way Zach was over here, yeah, we'd be dead because of the humidity alone in here. But because it's a drier heat in California, they don't deal with some of that stuff like we do. So maybe it was a little bit more manageable over there.
Maybe.
But we're getting into semantics and trying to talk meteorology, and I don't think the people want us to be talking about that.
Hey Brian, how did that first episode go? Oh, we took 5 minutes to talk about a monkey suit in the California sun. Why? Oh,
because weather.
Yep. It's been crazy. So before Zach can get out of the white monkey costume, which, by the way, take a wild guess which American prop is going to show up in ZO2 footage and better high quality Japanese footage later, Zordon calls the Rangers to come to the command center, who then informs them that due to a galactic imbalance caused by the linear alignment of the planets in your solar system, I'm about to temporarily deionize. I wrote down what he said. And I said, interesting plot point. I sure hope no one takes advantage of this situation and tries to sabotage Alpha 5 at the command center.
Well, let's be honest here. Alpha exposed himself by going out to save a child.
Yeah.
Whereas, but like the command center itself was never a target.
I mean, fair.
I mean, the command center technically was a target because that's the information that the monster was trying to get out of Alpha, but Alpha wouldn't give it to him.
I mean, I will give it to Alpha later on in this episode. He was ride or die. He was just like, nope, you ain't getting that information out of me. Self-destruct. Like, nope, I will die before I tell you where my friend is.
It's like that. It's like the first episode of The Mandalorian where Mando's going for the asset, and he runs into that K2 unit, and the K2 unit's like, "Man, we're cornered. Self-destruct. No, self-destruct.
Stop doing that."
Look at that. We just brought Star Wars in the Power Rangers. Anyways, moving on.
Yep. So, okay, going back to that, my note here is, so Zordon called the Rangers away from what they were doing, told them he was going on administrative leave and to keep an eye out for Alpha's signal. File this under meetings that could have been an email or a communicator call.
Hey, Zordon, what's up? I need to tell you something. Can you tell us over the communicators? It's why we have these things. No, must come to the command center. This could have been an email. And like then you get to the command center, Zordon tells you, it's like, Zordon, this could have been an email, sir. Even though there probably wasn't really email back at that time anyways. But sir, actually, no, there was email, but it wasn't it wasn't the way it is now.
There was that and like Usenet and like,
but it wasn't the way it is now. Let's just be honest there. It wasn't the way it is now.
No.
But this could have been a communicator telecommunication.
Yes. Okay. So let's see here. So Zordon then tells the Rangers to go back to Angel Grove, be on alert for Alpha signal in the interim while he is de-energized and unable to remain on high alert. It would be nice to know how long of a timeline we can expect this to be so that the Rangers could alter the game plan accordingly. Like, is he going to be gone for a day, a week, a month? Like, I feel like if this is just a thing that's going to happen over the course of a few hours, the Rangers could keep Alpha company in the command center while keeping an eye out for any danger, but that there's a story to tell, I guess. So, they're just going to go back to playing basketball or something.
Yep.
I don't know. Like, if it's just for a little bit of time, like the Rangers could literally just kind of camp out at the command center and just be like, What's up, Alpha? You want to play like cards or something? So of course, Lord Zed knows that Zordon is going to lose his powers for a while. Enter Primitor. Zed literally zaps Zack's costume with his Z staff, which is probably the most Z's I have ever written into a sentence in my life, by the way. And we get the shape-shifting Primitor, a staple of Super Sentai tropes, though not an actual Zyuranger villain, nor also a Dairanger villain. Primitor, for those of you who don't know, is U2 footage exclusive, which was originally killed in that footage by the Dino Ultrazord, which had to be changed. And he is voiced by Paul Schreier, Bulk, in this episode. So Alpha sits around for 5 minutes, says, I'm bored. What's going on in the park? Sees a kid missing his mommy, decides to take care of the situation himself, teleports to the park, but not before saying, pizza la pasta, baby. Look, it was the 90s. Everyone was referencing Terminator 2, okay? I mean, everyone was doing it.
I wasn't. But yet again, I'm also was never a Terminator fan, so. I mean, sorry, just never got into the franchise. Just like how I never got into Rambo or Rocky or any of those type of movies.
Oh man, you never.
But yet again, to be honest, I've always been more of a Jean-Claude Van Damme fan.
Okay, cool. Kickboxer.
Sudden Death.
Nice.
Greatest movie of all time.
So here's how much of a because I actually have this in my notes. Here's how much of a Terminator fan I was back in the day. I even had a Pog that had "Hasta la Vista, Baby" written on it. Okay, so it was pervasive in the culture, man. Like Terminator 2 was big.
Yet I completely missed it because I didn't care.
And that's you know what? That's valid. And you are no less my friend because of that.
Look at that. We don't like we don't like the same thing, but we're still able to be friends. How about that, everybody?
All right. So Alpha lands in front of Bulk and Skull, who aren't in this episode for too long. Paul had ADR stuff to do for this episode, which makes me wonder what Jason Narvi did with his spare time during the filming of this episode. He was probably going to school or something.
Honestly, like with Jason Narvi, you ended up finding out that him and Paul did quite a bit behind the scenes.
They did, actually.
Because actually, is it season 3 or was it Turbo? Or Zeo? One of those seasons, Paul was actually directing episodes. It's actually why he was turned into a monkey for a while, so he could be off screen to actually direct episodes.
Which I think is actually really cool.
Yeah. But we'll get to that when we get to that season in particular.
Monkey. So David Yost, Billy Blue Ranger, acting as the Primitor, acting as Billy is hilarious to me in the scene. He's like, I love his demeanor and his attitude. And he's like, my, you've been a naughty little boy. And I'm like, what? Like, he's like, you've been a naughty boy and need to be. I'm like, okay, this is still a kid show. So Alpha said self-destruct after finding out about Primitor being a shapeshifter and almost being tricked into taking him to the command center. He basically becomes a ticking time bomb in a park watching a lost kid. Like, my mind just goes to all kinds of awful places here, man. It's like, what's the worst that could happen here? Let me think. There's a crater with an alpha-sized, shape in it where a kid used to be, and all he wanted to do was play soccer. Go Power Rangers. God. It's kind of like if Carter Grayson had blown up that fuel tank, man. It's like, why? Why didn't you see the fuel tank? I'm sorry, I just watched that episode last night. I'm like, dude, come on. We'll get to
because these things need to happen. We need to have a little bit of drama in there.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, moving on. So Primitor is told to go after the Rangers by Zed and heads to the juice bar disguised as Zack. Walter Jones hams it up in this scene and gives a very good evil smile, which reminded me, oh yeah, he was in The Wire. Cool. I have to go watch that again sometime. Trini and Kim go to the park after being tricked by Primitor, and they try to contact Jason once they get there. Jason and the other Rangers have headphones on and don't hear the communicator. I get that Zordon and Alpha are incapacitated at this point, but wouldn't the communicator benefit from the ability to alert the wearer if, say, they weren't able to hear it or they weren't able to take a call at the time. Like a voicemail function, a blinking light to indicate a missed call, a vibrating function, guys. Come on. Like, I get that this is like version 1.0 of the communicator, but I don't know. Yeah,
Do you need a hug?
I do.
Get vaccinated, and then we can go get hugs.
And a drink, maybe.
I think there'll be lots of that too.
Yes.
But this is a PG 13-ish show, so let's get back to that.
We'll go get root beer.
Yes.
Okay, so Trini and Kim go back to the youth center and are understandably angry at Zach, even if it wasn't him. And the Rangers go to the command center. Zordon's back. Cool. And he's noticed that Elf is in trouble. No time to save him, though, because Premator is going to destroy Angel Grove. So no one can go help Alpha. No one. Can't Billy go deprogram Alpha real fast and then rejoin the other 5? I mean, like, I feel like that would take very little because in the past we've literally seen, oh, look, he's evil because of the CD. Yoink. So when the Rangers morph into the lineup roll call in this episode, by the way, I love this. They're staring down Premator as they announce their arrival, going from right to left on a tracking shot. Sorry about that.
Oh, Brian, you froze.
Sorry about that.
No, go on though.
So we see Trini and Trini? What? Premator has disguised himself as the Yellow Ranger and joined them in the lineup as they're doing the roll call, which tells me one of two things. Either one, they weren't paying attention, or two, Premator is freakishly fast. I'm going to probably go with the former on this one. We get some really impressive and almost seamless shots of Premator flipping while changing Ranger colors, some kind of smart fake outs, and Premator's laugh is honestly, at this point, though, worse than Skull's. He has that, like, and I'm like,
it's like, I need an adult.
So the Rangers, they get stomped, they retreat from battle, go to the command center, only for Zordon to say that his weakness / ability to mimic others is negated by a mirror, which Kim has on hand.
And let's be honest, anytime I look in the mirror, it negates me too. So I completely understand that.
Baby, no. Don't think that way. You are smart and you are handsome. Okay. You know that, right? Don't say that about yourself. So again, so Kim has a mirror on hand, and it also has Billy's power coin symbol on the back of it for whatever reason.
Marketing.
Also, Japanese footage. Yay.
Well, let's be honest. When we got those Power Ranger bikes, like they had the Power Ranger emblem coin on the bikes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, we also, just as an aside, we did get the Shark Cycles later on too, but those were Kaku Ranger.
Yeah.
So, but we never got the bikes from Zeo Ranger, which kind of bums me out because those were really cool.
Yeah, that's right. We never did get those.
Because it was like, yeah. Sorry.
But then also, if you look at the power weapons, like the power sword, the power daggers, they actually have the coin emblems on them too.
They do.
Yeah. And then if you looked at the early toys, the toys on the Power Rangers themselves, obviously with the exception of Tommy, who had the dragon shield, on the chest, on the very center white diamond, would actually have the Ranger coin emblem on it.
Yeah. Just again, as another aside, I just got a book from Japan. And it talks about like all these different seasons, and it literally goes all the way back to Go Ranger from 1975. And it's kind of like just pictures of like production photos. And for Zeo Ranger, at the very back, they have a page and it talks about Mighty Morphin. And I can't read Japanese, but what's hilarious about it is they actually show the Green Ranger figure and how they have the chest, like the chest logo or whatever, and how they changed the dragon symbol coin to like this kind of fake knockoff Godzilla. And there's like a green power coin with like a anime kind of like, sweat bubble coming off of it. Like, ugh. And it's like, why did they do that? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know Japanese coin. I don't know.
Japanese coin, sad.
Very sad, Iska. So Okay, so this whole thing, by the way, was again a meeting that could have been an email or a communicator call, but maybe the Rangers also needed a break. I don't know. Hey, buddy. The Zord fight is really short and suffers from Premator existing in ZU2 footage, while the main while the main Thunder Megazord footage is from Die Ranger. And while I'm not going to harp on this point too much, I will say expect this to be the case for quite some time, at least until we get to the White Ranger on regular and we begin to see actual Die Ranger monster footage. For what it's worth, it's not terrible. I thought it was cool to see the Dragon Zord in battle, even though he kind of does nothing. And you can see the T-Rex Zord in the background momentarily. I'm kind of like a detective with this footage. I love to see like what kind of made the cut and what didn't, and what's not supposed to be there. The Thunder Megazord makes quick work of Premator, and the Rangers hurry down to save Alpha, who's about to self-destruct in like 15 seconds. I really hope that it was an implosion that would have happened, because had it been an explosion, he could have taken out the Rangers, a kid, and at this point, the kid's mom. Yikes.
And maybe about half the park too at the same time.
This is where a tetherball used to be. No more tetherball. Trini says Billy's name in front of the kid. Oops. And Billy saves Alpha 5. They all go to the command center where Zordon is very cross with Alpha, and he's been grounded. And Alpha's like, oh no, ay. They all laugh. Freeze frame on to the next episode. What are your thoughts on Wannabe Ranger?
I actually thought that the whole concept of the mimicking Rangers was really cool. Like, obviously, you had to have some type of mechanism to foil that, and the mirror was actually the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
When you think about it, I mean, it's not just like when I look into it and it starts screaming at me going, my God, what is that thing? Get it away from me. But it actually, makes the monster see himself when he's trying to camouflage himself as like one of the Rangers and something like that. So it's actually a nice little foil. Alpha's stupid. Should have contacted the Rangers and said, hey, there's a kid, he's lost, go help him. But I guess also at the same time, we wouldn't have gotten a plot device that actually would have led them to finding out how to find the weakness of the monster, because that's how it was first discovered. And you need to add a little bit of drama, I guess, for Alpha, because, I mean, in season 1, the only time, if I remember right, the only time Alpha left the command center was to get that singing Root and Power Ranger Punks. Outside of that, I don't think Alpha ever left the command center. This actually, I think, becomes a little bit more of a trend, where, because this isn't the first time he leaves the command center this season.
Nope.
He leaves it actually a few times. And not including White Light, because he's technically still in the command center at that point. He's just in another portion of it. So it does set a different precedent there.
Yeah. My one little note that I loved when when Premator sees himself, and I think he was the Green Ranger at that point. I loved what they did with the helmet, because it gets to be like part red too. And I'm like, I would love to see that as a figure. I would buy that figure just because I think it looks cool. But then again, I don't know. Hasbro doesn't listen to me, so
it's okay, Brian. I listen to you, Brian.
Oh, thank you. Voices from the Grid. We support each other.
We may fight with each other, but we support each other.
Da, 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 da. The more you know about Power Rangers.
And for the record, we actually don't fight with each other. We actually just have arguments on how we want to do things for the show. It's normal production work stuff. So,
like nerds.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I think at that point, maybe we can go
to our next episode.
Yeah, Putty on the Brain.
Yes. So once again, it's everyone's favorite segment in my mind. It is the quick run through of Putty on the Brain, where we begin at school and Zach shows Billy some new glasses. Zed then casts a spell on the glasses, and Zach and Billy are now seeing the others as putties. They accidentally attack Mr. Kaplan and get detention. Bulk and Skull begin their quest to learn who the Rangers are. They feed the iguana, who then turns into a monster. That wasn't part of their plan, but now it is. Back in class, Zach is tripping because of the spell. Then in detention, they discuss the glasses. Bulk and Skull take the glasses and they get hit with the spell as well. They run into real putties and the others come to help, causing confusion for Billy and Zach. Billy and Zach work on a device to defeat the iguana monster. Alpha sends Trini to the lab to try something out. Trini morphs and they can see her as the Yellow Ranger. The Rangers minus Tommy morph into action, and then after defeating the putties, Billy and Zach take on the iguana. They use the device to cool off the iguana, because heat is apparently its thing. The Rangers combine for the power blaster. Zed sends a growth bomb, and it's Thunder Zord's time. The TMZ, aka the Thunder Megazord, gets tongue-tied, but gets out of it. Thunder Zord for the victory, and then back at school, the iguana is returned to normal. Jason gives Zach and Billy the glasses, and the spell is reversed. Bulk and Skull use the iguana to sniff out the Rangers to end the episode. And that is Putty on the Brain.
All right. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's right. It's Putty on the Brain. And original air date for this episode was September 14th, 1994. So let's go ahead and dive into this one. The episode begins at school before class with Zach showing Billy 2 pairs of glasses he picked up for their science project, which Billy says will provide ample protection, to which Zach says, yeah, and they look cool too.
They're okay. They're nothing special.
Yeah, it's not what I would wear in 2021, but that's just me. Without missing a beat, Lord Zed fused that as a perfect opportunity to destroy the Power Rangers and cast a spell in the glasses, making the rare sea putties where the Rangers would be. So Billy's technobabble is great and groan-worthy here. He says, he literally takes the glasses and goes, yes, the lenses and frames seem especially sturdy. They should be more than adequate to protect our eyes from our lab experiment. And then Lord Zed literally pipes in like 5 seconds into the episode, and he's like, protective glasses? Ha! I couldn't have planned this better myself. And I'm like,
sure you
what?
did.
Okay. Zed, you got to come up with some better plans, man. It's like, what? So Zed goes into a spiel about cursing the glasses and making the Rangers fight each other. And Goldar of all people says, I can't act today. I can't get down there. But he's like, but couldn't the Rangers just take the glasses off? And Zed's like, no, you idiot. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay, hold on. He explains that his spell will interact with the powers Zordon gave them and will change their vision permanently. He doesn't explain exactly how this works, though. How does he access that? I think we later learn, I think Zed also has access to the Morphin Grid somehow, just from a weird back end. But also, this might be a plot hole on this episode, but this spell winds up affecting Bulk and Skull, too. I'm not entirely certain how that works or why it works. Was it only for the Rangers, or does it mean that like I want your opinion on this. Does it mean like anybody that wears the glasses will see anybody who's a Ranger is suddenly a putty, or does it just work for Rangers? Like, how does
that would be the original would be my assumption, just simply because when you look at it from the perspective, it's like Zed made it where whoever wears those glasses sees the people who are the Power Rangers as putties. So like if they send down putties to fight them, they end up fighting their friends instead of the putties, thus causing the confusion. Bulk and Skull putting on the glasses then makes the other 6 show up as putties because of the fact that that is how the spell is engineered. At least that is my take of it.
You know,
I could be wrong.
You know what? This raises an interesting point, because if Bulk and Skull had gotten just a crumb more information about how these glasses worked, they would have found out who the Power Rangers are.
Yep.
I just had that. I didn't even think about that when I was writing these notes, huh?
But sometimes it's the stuff you don't write that becomes the interesting stuff.
So Zach and Billy put on the glasses, and sure enough, Tommy, Kim, and Jason all look like Z putties now. I guess Trini's running late for school, which means that there's actors in putty costumes walking around with backpacks, and the extras in the back were given the stage direction that everything's cool, act like nothing's wrong, act like the Rangers are on set. And I love stuff like that. Like, I feel like this would have been, I love it when you get to see stuff like that on film, because it plays a lot into the disbelief and going into your imagination thing. But I feel like this would have worked a little better if not only the spell made the Rangers look like putties, but made them sound like putties too. There's a scene coming up that just plain doesn't make sense that suffers from this, and we'll get there when we get to there. And then let's see here. Okay, so I had a thing about like Zach and Billy getting detention, and then, you know, they're in class and Miss Appleby says not another word, and Skull accidentally plays back the recording of, you know, her saying that, and suddenly they're in detention too. There's a lot of detention in this episode. On top of the putty glasses being the main lead plot point, we do have a proper villain this episode, Saliguana, whose origins come from Mrs. Appleby's classroom. Bulk and Skull look after her iguana when she makes copies of the oncoming test, and Zed deems the iguana capable of finishing off the Rangers because I'm not sure where the salamander part of the monster's name comes from either, but okay. I do love how they overfeed the iguana. Bulk says he's going to grow up big and strong, and the iguana transforms. He's like, guess we overfed it. And like runs away. Like, this is why I like Bulk and Skull. The monster looks grotesque, which I like. I like that it has slime in its mouth, kind of like Venom, like back in like the 90s, like how he always had Venom and like that long tongue coming out of his mouth. Billy and Zach take a walk in the park, are ambushed by putties, and try to rationalize that if we're under that spell, then these guys are our friends, right? Only for Zach to get sucker punched by a real putty that runs down a slide on a jungle gym. The other Rangers show up mid-fight, and Putty, Trini, and a real putty are fighting. Trini says, "Hey, Zach," and he almost attacks her instead of the putty. Like, she even waved at him and said, "Hey, Zach, what's up?" So that's kind of where that's kind of where I was like, this doesn't work, because it's like, if you can hear them and you can tell that they're not being aggressive towards you, why would you attack that putty?
Because why not?
Fair, I guess.
I mean, we just did an episode where we had a monster that was impersonating the Rangers.
A good point. Okay. A little bit of okay. I can see that being kind of like a hangover. Like, no, wait. I've seen this before.
Been there, done that. Got the T-shirt. Had to kill the monster.
Yeah, not doing it again. By the way, Austin St. John has a series of roundhouse kicks in this fight that just look awesome, by the way. And then someone says, it's like we got I think it's Billy that says, it's like we got putty on the brain. Or was it Zach, maybe? And we have a title. The Rangers finally figure out what's wrong with Billy and Zach. Which Kim says, like, ew, we look like putties. And on top of that issue, they have to go fight Saliguana, who's capable of living in and breathing fire. So he's like a dragon or a Zelda enemy, which is cool. Billy begins creating a device to cool it down, an ice device, if you will. Alpha sends Trini down to Billy's lab for an experiment. Unmoored, she still looks like a putty, but like you said, she appears as the Yellow Ranger when morphed, which is a good step forward. Billy, having to slap together the ice device, tells Zordon that he hasn't tested it yet. Trini tells Billy to bring it and put another computer chip in his pocket, just in case. And if Ben were here, this is where I would point to him and we would get him to say,
"This is not how science works."
Thank you. Like, Trini, it's more complicated than just pick up a random chip just in case and, you know, we'll fix it on the go. It's like you have to connect them in, you have to solder them in, you have to, like, make sure that you're not, you know, never mind. So a bit of a story note here. So Tommy's energy is low again, and Zordon has to recharge him. So maybe we'll see him later on, but probably not. At least in this episode. We get really awesome American Ranger fight footage near the beach with 541 playing by Ron Wasserman, which is awesome. And this is the kind of stuff I think of when I think back to watching Power Rangers back in the day. Like, this is what I think of when I think of coming home from school in like the second grade, getting a fruit snack, sitting in front of the TV, and it's like, okay, Power Rangers is on, let's go. I still hate the scrunched up turtleneck look on the American footage, though. I hate that. Like, it looks like because what is it? They have for the costumes, they have these white hoods that look like sperm caps that go on your head, and then you put on the helmet. So you have this like nice clean white line on your neck. But with them, I guess they were scrunched them up, and it looked like a turtleneck, kind of like Steve Jobs would wear. And I always hated how that looked. It just looked goofy. I don't know. What did you think about that look, Mike?
It played no factor on anything for me.
Fair. So okay, Zach and Billy fight the Salaguana, who uses his fire breath to fend them off. Zach uses the ice device, but oh no, it isn't working. Billy tells Zach to figure out what's wrong with the device and fights Salaguana off. And shouldn't that be the other way around, though? Like, Zach shouldn't be the one trying to figure it out.
Got to give Zach something to do.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, gotta give Zach something to do.
Fair. And I think that's also Japan going like, oh, well, hold on, this is what we filmed. So Zach doesn't figure out what's wrong, but instead Billy says, we designed it with a backflow inhibitor in mind. Let's use the computer chip Trini told us to bring. It's essential to the device working correctly. Then why didn't you install it in the first place, man? Like, I wouldn't harp on this, but like I said, they just plop it in, no soldering, no nothing. They just boop, and it works. Whatever. It's Power Rangers. I'm not going to get angry about this. They cool the Salaguana down, and they use the Power Blaster to defeat Salaguana. Zed grows him, and we again get footage of the Thunder Megazord fighting a ZU2 villain, meaning that this is yet another fight where the Megazord and the baddie are not on screen at the same time, which we'll get past this. It still looks cool. It's just, if you're expecting, the Thunder Megazord to throw a punch at him and make it connect, it's not going to happen. Sorry. Zach and Billy still see the gang as putties at school once, everything's said and done. The gang then brings them the glasses, which Alpha has reversed a spell on. And like you said, the iguana comes back and crawls up Skull's leg. And they suddenly decide, hey, this iguana can sniff out the Power Rangers for
reasons.
Okay, cool. And sure enough, it causes a ruckus at the school. And they end the episode by saying, I guess we'll never know if the Power Rangers were here or not. And then it's like, once again, freeze frame, and like, end of the episode. This was an okay episode. I was happy to watch it again, but like, I don't think I'm gonna ever really like on my DVD set. That's gonna ever be like, I'm in the episode to watch Putty on the Brain again. Like, it's one of those episodes that's just like, we're obviously trying to get somewhere, and this is the road along. This is the road to where we need to get to, but whatever. I thought it was an okay episode. What did you think?
I mean, it was an okay episode. Had a little conflict, had a solution. Yeah. The biggest thing out of this episode is that now we're like, not including the mutiny 3-parter. We're now 2 episodes into the new season.
Right.
And now we have been given the actual direction of Bulk and Skull, which is now their sole focus is to try to find out who the Power Rangers are. So, like last episode, you really didn't have that much with Bulk and Skull, whereas this one, it's more, we're going to find out who these guys are. And we're going to reveal who they are. And that's one of the bigger takeaways of this episode is that it kind of creates the course of where they're going to go,
which is I think is good. I like that this is the start of Bulk and Skull actually having a goal in mind.
And albeit it does change midway through the season, but for good reason.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, I mean, for what it is, it's a serviceable episode. I liked it. Maybe I will go back and watch it again. You know, I did like the putties, you know, the Rangers being putties and like showing up at the school and like wearing backpacks and stuff and sitting in class. And I don't know. I love stuff like that. So yeah, okay, maybe I liked it a little better than I initially was going to say. So
Yeah.
uh,
So next up, we have Bloom of Doom. So everyone, let's get sassy. As we do everyone's favorite segment in my mind, quick run through of Bloom of Doom, which begins at the youth center and it's club sign up day. Sadly, no one signed up for Kim's club. Zed sees this and plans to turn Kim against Trini. Bulk and Skull, unsolved mysteries. Kim is bummed, but is still determined. Bulk and Skull make fun of Kim. And then Goldar puts the jealousy potion on the plant. Putty replaces Kim's with the affected plant. I don't know how it was able to go unseen. Kim pricks her finger and shows disgust towards Trini. Kim showing that sass towards Bulk and Skull and Jason and Trini. Meanwhile, Trini holds her first volleyball club meeting. Jason and Tommy talk with Trini about Kim. And then Zed... Jason and Tommy, that's who had some sass towards them. Zed creates the Bloom of Doom, and then Zordon informs Tommy, Trini, and Jason of the monster and morph into action. Alpha informs Zach and Billy, which I don't think we see that on screen. I don't remember. And then Zordon informs Kim, and with some sass, says, "It's morphin' time." Oh, Kim and that sass. Love it.
can I say? Can I say? Because
no. Shut up, Meg. Anyways, I'm still going. No. The Rangers battle the Putties before facing the Bloom of Doom. The male Rangers get hit with the pollen, and Kim uses the ribbon, but the Bloom of Doom escapes. Kim is now in another dimension. In the other dimension, Kim battles the Bloom of Doom. The others return to the command center, and Billy discovers that Kim is still reachable, and Trini needs to use her daggers to save Kim. Trini is successful and breaks the spell over Kim. They form the Power Blaster and destroy the Bloom of Doom. Back at the youth center, Kim has high turnout for her club sign-up. Mr. Kaplan screwed up. So all's well in the gang. And that's how we end Bloom of Doom.
All right, and sorry for interrupting you there, but I just because I knew I was gonna forget or something, but just the sass when she says it's morphin' time.
Yeah,
when she cocks her head and all that, I'm like, this girl, okay, like,
we good with this.
Yeah, okay, so Bloom of Doom. Original air date for this episode was September 17th, 1994. I'll start by saying this is nowhere near my favorite episode, and it has nothing to do with it being a pink and yellow Ranger-centric episode. I just kind of disliked when Kim acts petty, especially in this episode, even if she was under Zed's spell. Like you said, the main gist of this episode is that Kim is upset that no one showed up to her botany club, which winds up being a simple mistake by Principal Kaplan. There's not a whole lot really to this episode. The main plot point is, Kim getting jealous of Trini's volleyball club, Zed exploiting her jealousy, Kim then confronting Trini about it and saying, "I'm going to make my own club with hookers and blackjack. So bye." Okay, so Zed's plan involves sending a disguised Putty down to swap one of her cactuses with an evil one that puts her under spell when she pricks her finger on a barb. And the Putty that Zed sends down is extremely conspicuous. Like, in my head, I had that scene from Parks and Recreation going like, don't be from the Matrix 5 years in the future, or one of the lone gunmen from the X-Files got lost on the Fox set or something. You know what I mean? Like, that's what he looks like. Back before everybody was wearing trench coats at high school. The plot kind of gives away the ending early on, what with Kaplan saying how much of a mess it is that some of the clubs are in the school auditorium, some are at Ernie's juice bar, and that it's hard to keep track of where everyone is. That being said, I think we've all been there when nobody shows up to something that you've been promoting and that people have shown interest in, but like they're just not there. I've done panels and conventions in a room full of one before, and I know how bad that can feel. So, you know what I mean? Like,
we've both been there.
Yeah. So it happens, and you just kind of gotta, keep moving on, man. It's just the way it is. So sure enough, Kim pricks her finger and she gets angry at Trini when all she tries to do is help. She then calls Bulk and Skull dimwits when they try and get her to join their club and try to find the true identity of the Power Rangers. Tommy and Jason try and calm her down with flowers and explain that her and Trini are still best friends. And Kim doesn't necessarily say anything bad about Tommy or Jason, but she insists that Trini isn't her best friend and storms off. So at least she's not mad at Tommy or Jason, I guess.
Well, the spell is strictly against Trini.
So yeah. So
it's A, to give her a bad attitude, and B, it's strictly to give her tension between her and Trini.
Yeah. So okay. Well, yeah, but then okay, fair enough. I might have missed that in my 2 watch throughs of that. I don't know why. Sorry about that. So the next scene is okay, so the next scene is Trini hosting the shortest and least in-depth volleyball coaching session on record, and Jason and Tommy show up to ask her, "Hey, what's going on?" Only for Bulk and Skull to show up, deem them not worthy of being Power Rangers, but that they need to get their voices on tape just to be scientific. And I guess Skull wraps Bulk in a cable accidentally. Bulk falls over and the teens laugh, which I'm sure is going to be chalked up to bullying, and who are the real bullies of Power Rangers once again is asked on our show. Even though Trini, Jason, and Tommy didn't really do anything. I mean, I guess they could have checked to make sure he's okay. But anyways, we then see Kim sitting in a flower field asking why she's wasting her time there. No idea. I'm kind of wasting my time on this episode when I could be watching White Light. So Zed creates the Bloom of Doom from Kim's plants, a ZO2 footage villain with fiery, poisonous pollen, whose Zordon fears could create a terrible firestorm. Considering that this is California that this kind of takes place in, oof. Is it fire season or mudslide season there?
I don't know.
I love that when Kim morphs, she does it in such a snooty way, like we said earlier. Also, she has a ribbon that has to wrap around the Bloom of Doom like a vine. So the beginning of the fight is ZO2 footage with all the Rangers lined up, but Bloom of Doom is American footage. And then we cut back to the Rangers, which is American footage again. I wonder if they just didn't shoot that establishing shot in America and had to dig through older footage in order to get a 5-second scene that would work. Like, this has kind of become one of my favorite things to do in season 2. Find the Japanese footage hidden among the American that's nonsensical. So Bloom of Doom hits 4 of the 6 Rangers with incendiary pollen, leaving Trini and Kim as the lone ones to fight. Kim wraps up the monster. Trini slashes it off with the power blaster, thinking that would finish the monster off. But all it does is allow the monster to continue attacking and trap Kim in an alternate dimension. This is at least the second time that this has happened to Kim in the series. The other 5 Rangers show up at the command center, all of them rubbing their eyes, even though Trini wasn't affected by the pollen. But okay. Zordon and Alpha help the Rangers figure out a way to get into the dimension that Kim is trapped in. And Billy figures out, and I want your opinion on this, that if Trini throws her daggers at a 90-degree trajectory course, it will be able to penetrate the dimension and break the Jellyseed curse. So how, why, and where exactly do the daggers need to be thrown anyways in relation to what you're saying? Like, do they just...
I believe that the reason it would be Trini with the daggers is because she's the one that the spell is against.
Which is fair. We've established that.
Yeah.
I will agree with you on that.
So that would be that. Everything else, I don't know.
What if it's an 89-degree angle? Like, whoops, I threw it. Okay, I guess I'll try it again. Trini helps Kim. Their friendship is saved, and the power blaster gets called upon yet again. Zed takes his anger out on Goldar, Babu, and Squat. The episode wraps with Kim meeting up with the people who were supposed to be in her club, but they had the wrong location info, which again has happened to me at conventions. Trini and Kim make up for realsies, and Bulk and Skull announce that they figure out who the Rangers are, only for Skull's tape to be ruined by mud and grass, which is honestly kind of gross. It's one of the grosser things in the last couple of episodes, and we've seen some kind of gross stuff. Again, not my favorite episode, but certainly not the worst. I don't know. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about before we wrap up this episode?
Nope, I am good. I am good. So with that, Brian, where can the people find you on the social medias?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find me on Twitter at One Drunk Geek. And I am hoping to get some new episodes done sooner than later. And I will absolutely plug when they're done. You can also find me on castwavestudios.com and be sure to check out all of our shows there, including but not limited to Boldly Going Nowhere, which I believe we've had you on before, but we definitely need to have you on again.
You've had me on it before. I still don't have a copy of the episode. It's from Farpoint a few years ago.
I'll get on that.
And I was never even told when it was actually released in the first place. I think we were talking about Star Trek 2 on that episode.
Oh, yeah, we were.
Yeah.
Gone.
I don't even think I was even plugged in the promotion of that episode.
Okay.
I'm in the episode. I just like.
Well, the people that you need to talk to are Colin and Sean on that one, then probably.
Yeah, I'm not. You could tell I'm not torn over it. You know, it's more of a joke at this point. But anyways, you can find me on the Twitters at @TheLindenbaum75, Facebook at facebook.com/X75Productions, Twitch at twitch.tv/TheMichaelX75, and of course the website txhthockey.com. And for the shows /VFTG on the website and on Twitter at VFTG_PR. So with that, Brian, take us out real quick.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for another episode of Voices from the Grid. And as always, be sure to grab your power coins and power morphers.
And until our next more phenomenal episode, may the power protect you.